I'm the author of the module Encounter Statistics, and I just wanted to give you make a small video to give you an overview of the kind of different features, what it looks when it's set up, and how it can be used in your games. Encounter Statistics first started as a way for me to be able to capture session events that happened in combat. So for each combat that happened, I wanted to track things such as most damage dealt by a player, or the most support actions taken to support their allies, or how much healing was done by individuals, and use that as a way to kind of just have a remembrance of all those particular events that happen throughout. But since it's grown, it's now moved into also tracking things such as campaign statistics. So how many how many natural 20s or natural 1s were rolled in a particular time, and being able to track those in a journal entry to be able to look back on. And so there are many different pieces of functionality in here, such as also adding things such as dice roll streaks. So every time someone rolls the same d20 value more than once, that kind of, we can optionally send that to the chat, as well as tracking that in our campaign statistics, and being able to look at those over time. If we also look a bit further down, we have things such as simple calendar integration. So if you have your own months and years and day names and celebrations, this allows you, when a journal is created, to actually have that name be put into the journal as well. On top of that, we also have custom campaign events. So one of the things that came up as well, that we've integrated from the community, is things such as every time the GM says, you can certainly try, being able to click a button in the macro bar and that be added to the journal entry, or how do you want to do this, for example. And this also allows other third-party modules to take advantage of this if they wanted to as well. So each time an event happens on a module use, so one of the other modules I look after is Wild Magic Surge 5e. So there's an option in there that if you have this module installed, each time a Wild Magic Surge appears, it will automatically appear in your campaign events. So when you first install Encounter Statistics, we can access all the settings by going to the Configure Settings option and selecting Encounter Statistics on the left-hand side. The options in here are pretty minimal. A lot of it is hopefully collected behind the scenes automatically for you. However, as the module has progressively started to get more and more features, I will be adding these options as they expand into the Configure Campaign Tracking Options section here. So running through each option, we have the Statistics Management. So clicking Configure here, we can see we've got some nice to haves here that allow you to back up your campaign statistics as you need to. So clicking on here will download a JSON file. So if there's something you want to do with those statistics that have been collected, you're more than welcome to click that and then be able to go in and write whatever interface you like to back these up or import them, and just make sure you've always got them to hand. If you want to re-import them, obviously that goes in here, just click on here and then uploading whatever you need to. And again here, delete statistics, which will clear everything out back to normal for the campaign. One thing to bear in mind for here, and this is where it can be quite advantageous using this feature, is if you record some things that you actually want to go back and edit, and you have the ability or the knowledge to read JSON files, you can export the statistics, edit them locally, and then re-import them afterwards. So that's a really good way if something clicked on a module, or you've been playtesting and noticed that new statistics have been added at any point in time. The next one is Enable Encounter Statistics. So I added this in just in case you're playing around or doing some testing in between sessions and you wanted to just ignore all kind of dice rolls that are happening at that point in time. And the final option, Enable Export of Raw Data to Journal. What this will do is on each journal entry in a combat, you can get it to also, as well as display the outputted journal combat event At the very bottom of the journal, you will see the raw JSON output from that battle, and that will allow you, if you wanted to in the future, be able to kind of take that data, store it somewhere, manipulate it if you want to in the future. So next we can have a look at the journal and see what's actually being created and how it all works. So on the left hand side here we have the GM screen, and on the right hand side we'll have our test player. And if we go on the GM side to the journal, you should see in here, when you first install the module, a journal entry called Encounter Statistics. If you open this up, we use, within the new V10 version, the journal page entries. So there will be one journal entry that you'll be able to access this from. And always at the very top you'll have campaign statistics, which, as you can see at the minute, is completely blank. And then each combat that happens will have its own journal page, which will appear in a list down here, and you'll have full control whether you want to share that with your players using the standard built-in permissions, or whether you want to delete certain ones as you go forward. So for the next stage, let's see how this behaves tracking a combat encounter. So selecting the 4 tokens on the screen, we're going to create a new combat, and moving to the combat we're going to roll initiative for each one. And we can see here on the left hand side I have the GM's login, and on the right hand side we have a player login. And the reason for this is that when rolls are done from a player, the hooks in the background in Foundry will be sent and tracked from the player, and we pick those up and then we send them over to the GM screen, which our module then listens to and deals with and tracks for us. So if you find that you install the module and you are just loaded on the GM screen and wondering why nothing's being tracked, that's because the way Foundry works, we cannot get access to the data unless we pass through the chat log, which is horrible for me as a developer to get hold of the accurate data. So now we have our initiative rolled, we can go to the journal page, and we can see here that a new entry has been added down here, and within here we can see some basic things such as the name of the scene, a thumbnail of the actual scene itself as well as the start time, total rounds, so far, number of enemies, and some things like top statistics or setup ready to be tracking. As well as below we can see our combatants within here, so we can see our initiative score that was rolled, how many times that person has been downed, as well as basic things like starting HP and AC, etc. As well as at the bottom we also have our enemies listed below. So closing that down, what we're going to do is go back here and click begin combat. So starting with this player here, we're going to target this orc, and opening up their character sheet, we are then going to go through to spellbook, and one of my favourite of all, we're going to do a firebolt, which badly misses. So if we go over here now to our encounter statistics and open this up, we can see, if we scroll down already, we can see here the image of the spell that was done, the spell item that was cast, as well as the type, the roll type that it was to hit, the attack total, and the total damage that was done on that. So let's try again, because I'm feeling like a nice DM, and we're going to see if we can hit him. There we go, so we actually hit them. So if we go now back to encounter statistics, we should see that that has been collected, and this time we can see the attack total of 17, and it actually records the damage for us. We can also see here the amount of damage done in this round, and if we have any kills in this, or if there's any change to our health within this round of combat, these will all be updated here for us. And we can see up here as well the top statistics actively getting updated as we go through, and these will change over the time. So we'll close that down for now, and that's the end of his turn, and we'll go back to the combat tracker, move to the next one, and next up is Grace. So you see here on the player view, we're going to target this one here, and we are going to do a unarmed strike which hits, and then we're going to say as well a flame tongue greatsword which rolls and misses. So once again we'll go over, click on here, and we should be able to see now that we have an unarmed strike which hit for 6 points of damage, and a flame tongue greatsword which missed and dealt 0. Next, if we go back to our combat tracker, and we will just show what happens when an orc makes the hit. So as a GM, we're going to tag this person in, and we're going to use features, and we're going to make a great axe attack which misses the first one, but we'll give it multi-attack because why not? A third multi-attack, a fourth multi-attack, a fifth, a sixth. How are you unable to hit? Hit. Awesome. So, fantastic. That goes through, and we can see now from the player window and our chat log, we got a hit of 24 and slashing of 12. So we can go now to encounter statistics here, go and have a look, and we should be able to see here that one of those hit and is being tracked as the health got changed on that particular player character of 11, minus 11, so the health now is 89, and we can track that across there. If we go now to here and we move to the second round, and as a player I'm going to target this orc, and we're going to do one more spell book. We shall do a shield on ourselves, and then we will cast Erupting Earth. We'll place Erupting Earth just here, and we can see as all those get calculated for us, we can now go over to the journal and see what that reported for us. So as we scroll down now, we can see Erupting Earth here, and we can see that it caused 28 points of damage, 56 to the targeted individuals. So again, we can kind of add it in just to break that up and ensure that if multiple enemies were attacked, we can see how many and how much damage in total was done. And if we scroll up here, and you'll also notice now each of the rounds of combat are all split into distinct sections, so we can see exactly what we were doing. And if we go to the top, we can now see support actions and battlefield actions. So depending upon the type of spell or action that's taken on a battlefield, we try and group those into the appropriate things. And so to finish, all I want to talk about now is the compatibility for this module. So as we know, it works on standalone D&D 5e, and it also is compatible with MIDI quality of life. So the only thing you need to bear in mind with MIDI is you must ensure in the settings for it that targeting is set in order for the stats to be recorded correctly. Without this enabled, it means that we can't find out exactly what the AC of the character you are targeting is, and this can cause problems with when the response is sent back to us being unable to tell whether a strike hit or missed. So if you are using MIDI, please ensure you do have that set, and otherwise it should work absolutely fine. And the other one just to bear in mind is ensuring that when you are playing around this or practicing with this and you're unsure if something's not working, make sure you have the two screens open, one as a player, one as a GM, for your testing and playing. I hope that's helped. Thank you very much.